We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. Worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com.
Worldview Tube is your place for breaking news and current events. Stay up to date on news that actually affects you. We cover all the bases: politics, economics, current events, Bible teaching, and more. We have reporters all over the world, from America to the UK and Israel. Get the latest updates on the war in the Middle East with on-ground reports from our reporter, Aaron Lavarco. Stay informed on everything politics with our host, Roger Stone. Learn how everything going on today relates right back to the Bible with Brandon House's Bible study on Sunday night. Stay up to date with the latest breaking news and stories every night on our primetime show, Brandon House Live. Watch our old school 30-minute straight news show every night from 7 to 7:30 p.m. Central Time to get the news you won't hear anywhere else. We are the ultimate uncensored, uncontrolled news source with over 30 years in business. Check out our website and all of our other platforms and apps for free at worldviewtube.com.
Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the National Security Team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
It's interesting, the state board's resolution, which is sort of put into state law through this bill, was unanimous with both the Republicans and the Democrats on that board. You saw this bill pass unanimously. There's definitely support for this, and they were trying to figure out what everybody would come on board with. There was also an attempt by Democrats to extend the voter registration deadline, which is this Friday. They decided not to do that. They decided not to extend the absentee ballot receipt deadline past Election Day. But at the same time, you've got a lot of flexibility, and they're really aimed at figuring out somebody who's displaced from their home. Maybe they've moved to a county across the state temporarily. How do you make sure they're able to vote? And I think particularly the ability to take a mail-in ballot, get it reissued if it got wet or if your mailbox washed away, get it sent to another location, be able to then turn in that ballot to any county board of election anywhere in the state, and then they'll get it back to the county where you actually live and are registered to vote. I think that's going to have a big impact. The ability to move polling places. Some of these polling places were flooded. Early voting starts next week, and they've had to move some of those around. Some people are going to be voting in tents or trailers potentially, but there's definitely this sort of all hands on deck. Everybody's coming together to try to make sure this election goes as smoothly as it can.
Hurricane Elena update, the voting plan for Western North Carolina. And the Rob Maness Show is live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. Well, Western North Carolina is Trump country. So a good voting plan for the citizens in that part of the state is absolutely essential. The state legislature and state boards of elections have acted. The Republican Party and Trump-Vance campaign are also taking action. From a new Republican Party webpage at nc.gop/WNC Vote 24. Here's what the website reads in part, and I quote, "The devastation inflicted on Western North Carolina by Hurricane Elena has broken our hearts. We're in awe of the thousands of volunteers who have come to help in any way they can, from collecting donations and organizing search and rescue efforts. Communities of faith and the private sector stepped up where federal and state governments seem ill-prepared at best and negligent at worst. When our state's in need, our people deliver, and we're seeing that. Ensuring that Western North Carolina voters in these areas are able to exercise their constitutional right to vote is paramount. To that end, we at the North Carolina Republican Party have held extensive meetings with the Trump campaign, the Republican National Committee, state legislators, and local leaders. We're united in our mission and are working closely together to engage and inform voters in Western North Carolina about how, when, and where to vote," close quote. Well, unfortunately, we lost our guest today, who was going to be the Western North Carolina District Chair, Michelle Woodhouse, but she's unable to be with us because of a short notice commitment. So we're going to go with a live show and do a live audience and talk about this issue because we have a lot of listeners that are in Western North Carolina and from Western North Carolina. And that is the reason why this show exists, is for our audience. And Shell, unfortunately, Michelle Woodhouse has dropped out today. So let's get the audience hands raised, get them some mics, and we'll talk about this. One of the things that I've noticed in researching for the show today is that folks like Ms. Woodhouse and the leadership in the Republican Party and our friend Margot are traveling around the area. They're from that area, and they're listening to people. And one of the things that they're hearing from folks is about FEMA, unfortunately. And that is that they were slow to respond. They still really haven't responded a lot. When citizens go on their website or their app to try to sign up for the things like the $750 per family, they're getting denied it, or it's unclear what type of information they need, and those kind of things. The other thing that's going on is that it's cold. It's cold up in those parts, and they've had 2 inches of snow today. As a matter of fact, this morning we saw on that. So it's key that the Republican Party has, and the legislature and the leadership in that party, and the leadership of the Trump-Vance campaign, and the local leaders, including the election boards, the legislators, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has been out there, out there showing the flag and keeping people encouraged and getting them help, and those kind of things. So we've got a plan to help them vote. I see Margot is in the audience, and Shell, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
I was just going to make you aware, sir. She's here at your disposal.
Yeah, Margot. Unfortunately, Michelle had to cancel on us short notice for the guest spot today. If you could just talk us through what the plan is that we were going to talk with her about that's been changed, because there's been some changes. The legislature made some good changes to make up for these people's example given inability to go to a precinct that no longer exists. So what are those changes the legislature has made before we dive too deep into this?
Okay, thank you for having me on, Colonel Maness. The biggest changes are that we've allowed precincts to be moved. Permanent precincts that were announced earlier during the primary have been able to be moved because the physical locations are no longer there. So that's the number one change. Mm-hmm. And the second change I would say is early voting locations have been moved or some early voting places like in Western Carolina University area, they're not going to need that anymore. So they'll move that early voting location somewhere else. And I think the other major change that I've seen just in the last few days is the North Carolina State Election Board has announced in Buncombe County and also in Watauga County, the two most Democrat strongholds in Western North Carolina will have Sunday voting. That is a big change for us. We normally do not have Sunday voting. Now, the hours may be changed at some of these locations depending upon the availability of electricity and facilities. But that is usually something that may be handled by, they can send a note into the North Carolina State Election Board, and as soon as it's acknowledged, they'll put it out and they'll permit it. And I think the other large change, I'm just going to read off the list. I'm just going to real fast move over. Extension to request absentee ballots from the Saturday to the following Monday, which has already ended. Mm-hmm. You can turn in ballots for absentee till 7 p.m. on Election Day. You must have voter ID, but if you don't, we have a voter ID exception form for natural disasters and other things. But signatures are still required on all absentee ballots. Then some other things. There must be bipartisan allowance for poll workers or poll judges that come from outside the county, which is not normal. We normally do not have outsiders that come in and help. Mm-hmm. But we allot, I believe there's 15 floaters across the state. That's a state occurrence. But in this instance, we're going to allow them in those counties that were affected by the devastation. Okay. They're going to merge some precincts, allow adjacent counties to vote if the adjacent county has adopted an adjacent county voting policy. Meaning, if I'm in Buncombe County, where Asheville is, and I'm no longer there, I'm actually living in the adjoining county of Henderson. Mm-hmm. If Henderson allows me to put my Buncombe County ballot in, then I can vote in their county with my Buncombe County ballot, and they'll return it to Buncombe County. So that's a rule, but it has to be voted on. It has to be agreed to, and not all counties are going to do that. Yeah. And I guess the other thing that I think that is interesting is we have these things called MAT teams, and MAT teams are a bipartisan team that go to places like where nursing homes where people have disabilities. Now we're going to be opening up to shelters and off-site locations that were normally not open to MAT teams. So this means that, and what happens in a MAT team, because I'm a part of one, you have to be certified to be on one. You're either an unaffiliated voter and a Republican and a Democrat, or, that's the only way you can go. You go out with the ballots in hand. You allow the folks to do what they can. For instance, if someone's blind, we read the ballot to them. Mm-hmm. If someone is deaf, we'll help them any way we can. We mostly usually have a sign language person that does sign language. But we're now allowed to go to shelters with these ballots in hand to allow them to vote. So that's another big difference. What we did not allow, and I think is most important, is we did not allow drop boxes, that's what the Democrats wanted. They wanted drop boxes. Mm-hmm. We did not allow email or online voting. And we did not extend the deadline for absentee ballots past the election day at 7:30, which were three of the big things they asked for.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was wondering about, because North Carolina has never allowed absentee ballots to be counted after election day, right?
Well, they actually did by an illegal consent decree during COVID, but we learned our lesson.
Yeah, let's hope so. Pennsylvania has not. I don't think they've got it quite figured out yet. They're up there or not. What are you hearing as far as for the team's abilities to go into shelters, Margot? Is there some kind of oversight mechanism that's been put in place to monitor that system?
So MAT teams have to be certified through the state North Carolina Election Board. And as a member of MAT team, I'm the Republican representative in my county. We work together, and you everything is done in a pair. You can't leave a ballot alone with one person. I cannot make a mark on a ballot without the other person, reading it. We both have to sign the ballot if we help someone with it. And those all apply even if we go to a shelter. Even if we don't touch the ballot from a perspective of marking anything on it, the two people have to sign that we were in the shelter. We did this ballot together.
Wow. And how many shelters do you think there are in this area?
Oh, so far, I believe we're at 20 shelters across Western North Carolina.
Okay, so you're already
at least. Yeah, we're in action. And there's some churches that are used as precincts and community centers, and we will have people on hand at all of those locations to help people. Additionally, we were offered the opportunity to use a helicopter for the most remote areas like Bat Cave, but it looks like there's another law that we can use in North Carolina that is, if you're a caregiver for someone, you can take an absentee ballot in as long as you have, notary say you're the caregiver. Well, we have people in Bat Cave to do that. And we have someone that's offered us a helicopter to drop down in there as a MAT team. Don't know if we're going to do that, but at least the offer's been made.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've been to Bat Cave. I made the drive from Asheville, North Carolina to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I went through Bat Cave intentionally to do that. And that is one remote community. It really is. Well, we've got to take a commercial break. When we come back, hopefully Margot could stay with us. We can continue this conversation. I want to get some news from what we're hearing from folks on the ground as far as the citizens themselves and what they're saying. We'll be right back on the Rob Maness Show. It's Whistleblower Wednesday, and we're getting the Helena update on Western North Carolina and the voting process.
We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. Worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com.
I'm used to seeing hurricane damage. I live in Florida. What I saw today was unlike anything I've ever seen before in my life. When you see what's going on the ground here, flying from the air, it just doesn't do it justice. Just the level of devastation, the boulders and roads that have just been uplifted.
Destruction is unbelievable there at the Pensacola Fire Station. But appreciate the President's son coming out and getting eyes on this. Samaritan's Purse is working through these local churches and through the fire stations to get the immediate needs. And those supplies right now are generators. We're taking kerosene heaters in.
So it gives you a lot of hope. The church coming together, volunteer fire departments, police, neighbor working to help neighbor, and Samaritan's Purse leading the way. It's a huge encouragement.
Well, it's an honor. I wanted to see it with my own eyes. I saw both incredible from the devastation side as well as just Americans getting together, doing God's work, helping people in need. The mobilization efforts from Samaritan's Purse, truly an incredible organization.
It's still a lot of work to do. Please continue to pray for Western North Carolina.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. It's Whistleblower Wednesday, and we're talking about the updates to Western North Carolina's voting plan. And we want to showcase groups like Samaritan's Purse there and the fact that the Trump-Vance campaign is working with Republican Party and local and state officials in order to make sure our voters are able to get to the polls. Because if you bring that map back up that I showed in the opening monologue, Mr. Producer, and you'll see Western North Carolina, you see all the red and pink there. This is Trump country. So we have to make sure that these displaced voters have the ability to cast their vote and get that vote counted appropriately in a way of integrity and security. And it goes for even that one blue county out there where near Asheville, North Carolina. We want them to be able to cast their votes too, because that's what we do as Americans, is work together. And that was showcased in Don Trump Jr., that video there, and Samaritan's Purse. And Samaritan's Purse has got literally over 50 helicopters. They're doing fixed wing and helicopter airlift missions to bring supplies in to rescue people still, and those kind of things. And it's running all the time. And Samaritan's Purse their headquarters was impacted by this disaster because it's right there. So they're literally neighbors helping neighbors. And Margot, if you're still with us, I have a couple of more things I'd like to ask you about. You may not know the answers to these, but one of them is, last Monday, I was standing in the Harrison County, Mississippi Republican Party headquarters building, and this couple comes in and says, "Hey, we want to go help with voting in North Carolina, Western North Carolina. Is there a way to do that?" And I ran down here's a website. Are you on social media? And she goes, "No, we don't do any of that stuff." I said, "Do you text message?" She goes, "No, we don't text message. Can you get me a telephone number that I can call so we can volunteer to help if they need volunteers to help?" Are you guys, is there a telephone number for Western North Carolina to take volunteers to help people get to the polls?
Well, the best way to do that is to go through Michelle Woodhouse, who's the district chair for District 11, which is the most impacted area, or Jack Sims, who's the other district chair for the other impacted area. There's two districts out here that were impacted. But I would say that if they want to get a hold of me, they can get me if they need to. They can reach me at Margot that's INWNC @gmail.com. And I'll happily get a hold of the district chairs. Just to give you some clarification and let you know, I used to be the district secretary for District 11, so I'm very familiar with the processes. Most times, if it's going to be outside the polls as greeters, they're fine. But you have to be a North Carolina resident to be a poll watcher or a poll judge.
Yeah, I just think they want to help either get people to the polls or help them when they get there, do what they need to do, or, like you said, if they have to go to people, I don't know if that's a possibility either for folks that aren't North Carolina citizens, but these folks, they don't do email either, unfortunately, so I got to get them a phone number that they can call.
I'll DM you my phone number and we'll get that to them,
yeah.
and I'll help you out with that. I will tell you, we would love the help for poll greeters and for transportation. We can never have enough transportation for people that want to go to the polls. That's not something that people up here take lightly. We don't usually ask for favors, but in this instance, I think people are going to crawl over glass to get to those polls.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's what the next question I had for you. You're out there every day. You're talking to folks. I know you're helping groups like Heel Corps and Chad Caton and Boone Cutler get stuff arranged and those kind of things. And we're trying to get Chad on Skype to see if we can come in and give us an update too, since we're talking about this today, because he's got some exciting news. And he'll be up here in just a second. But Margot, what are you hearing from folks on the ground that are impacted here? That are not the folks volunteering to help, but how are folks doing?
I think it's starting to set in. People are starting to open up. Friends of mine in Swannanoa and out the outlying areas of Buncombe County and also in Haywood County are just now admitting that they have been touched by this tragedy and this devastation. I have a girlfriend that didn't tell me until yesterday that she lost her house. because she didn't want to burden me, which I can't, that's how people are here. I didn't know that her 9-year-old son and she were sleeping in her car. And I'm like, get over here. We've got a place for you. The challenge here, Colonel Maness, is we were already low on workforce housing. And so to find housing in Western North Carolina to keep these people from being totally displaced from what they're familiar is difficult. It's not something that is insurmountable, but it is something that takes time and requires help from agencies, in the local area to make sure we place these people in good, solid places that are safe, that they can afford. And I'm not saying they can afford it for a few months because we don't expect that, but that they can, actually ground their roots a little bit until things get back to whatever normal is.
Yeah, so you're having housing challenges for the folks that are displaced, plus you have housing challenges for the folks that have come in to help.
Correct. Now, listen, the motels and hotels are dying for people to come in because this is peak leaf looking season in Western North Carolina. So listen, the Clarion over in Maggie Valley called me yesterday. They said, we have 300 rooms. Send people. They can come stay here while they look at leaves, and they can help do any type of work they want. There are a lot of hotel rooms open for people that want to come and vacation and at the same time help. But for displaced people that need more permanent and stable housing, we were already a workforce housing shortage. So this makes it a little more complicated. We do have a lot of houses up here for people that vacation, that live in Florida and have vacation homes here. Yeah. And they've been quite generous with opening them up.
Oh, that's really good news. I was wondering about that. So that's fantastic, Margot. Well, we do have Chad Caton with us. We're going to take a break here in a second. When we come back, we'll bring him in and get an update from him. He's done some great work with your help, Margot, of taking care of a children's home that was having difficulty. And we'll be right back with the Rob Maness Show. We've got a Hurricane Elena update. And Chad Caton, who's working with Hill Corps out there, is going to give us an update on where he's at and what's been going on with this children's home that I've been following the last couple of days that was having some difficulty. We'll be right back on the Rob Maness Show at Worldview 2.
Two, one, go.
Hey, good morning. My name's Dave Laniga with Sentinel Foundation and E3 Ranch here. We're up here in Elk River Airport in Banner Elk, North Carolina, and we're asking for your help today. It's getting very cold up in the mountains. We've had 2 mornings of frost now. I really need buddy heaters, propane tanks, propane tank adapters so we can attach the buddy heaters to the larger propane tanks. And anything else. We're good on clothes, we're good on food, we're good on water. We just got to keep our neighbors and our American countrymen warm at night. Please help. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. And it's another day. We're doing an update on Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee on the recovery operations. And today we're focusing on the voting plan for those displaced voters, because this is Trump country. By and large, up in Western North Carolina. That's why the Trump campaign has rolled in and is providing whatever they can in assistance to help the locals and the state officials in the party and in the legislature and in the election boards get this job done. And it seems like they have a good plan. They've turned away some ideas that really we shouldn't be doing, like drop boxes and extending deadlines for taking absentee ballots past Election Day and that kind of thing. And in this segment, I want to get an update from Chad Caton, who's operating out there. We had him on the other day with Heel Corps and Boone Cutler and Jason, the fantastic finance guy from Heel Corps. Chad, I saw your stories about the children's home. Just wanted to give you a chance to tell the audience what the latest is on that and the successes that you've had. It looks like you guys were successful at getting those folks taken care of.
Yeah, we're really tired right now. Excuse me, I'm in the ops center right now trying to. We're getting a soft put together with some guys from the 82nd. We're really getting this distribution thing figured out, which at the end of the day, sometimes I'd rather be on a chainsaw than sitting here going over data and trying to figure out where we need to be and when we need to be there. But nonetheless, Boone Cutler is currently doing some of his public relations stuff. We're trying to get some radio stations to cover some thought processes for people to listen up on the Hill. But yeah, last 2 days we've really been working the Black Mountain Children's Home. It was the children's home that went viral. There was people saying that the kids were trapped and all that, and we got rid of that misinformation, but we found the things that we could do. And today, just before I came on, we actually were able to get 2 more Starlinks, because there's 100 kids there, along with staff, social workers, and we were able to get 2 more Starlinks donated today by Mr. Beast. For those of you who know YouTube, he had Sean Hendricks come out, and again, the wonderful woman that is Margot, she connected us to him, and he dropped by, and he also gave us a backpack Starlink, which, as being the recon force, if you will, we're up and down these mountains all day, and it's nice to pull out a Starlink so that we don't have to go find a top of the mountain, which could take another 45 minutes in order to get a signal out, in order to talk about what the needs are of the people that we have found up in the mountains. So it's cold. It's very, very cold. This is not Myrtle Beach. It is cold. I don't like cold, and so it's a draining day nonetheless.
Yeah, I was just telling Shell, you're a coastal guy.
I'm a Navy boy, man. We like it hot.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the clip I showed at the opening of the segment was from 2 days ago, and I didn't have time to pull the one that I saw. I think it's the same gentleman in the same area that said, hey, he's showing 2 inches of snow on the ground, and that's a disaster at this point because we don't have enough propane, we don't have enough heaters to go around and generators to go around yet. So we got to keep you guys still digging in and get this logistics flow completely set up so that folks aren't freezing to death out there.
Yes, sir. And man, God is good. The people of this country are great. We're still looking for the side-by-sides. I think we're working some of that out so we can get our nurses up on the hill from Heel Corps and the nurse station there at Avery Airfield. We still have some assessments to do to get to some outlying communities but we've had no helo for the last 2 days due to weather. And I think it is northeast of where we are here in we are in Burnsville, and we come from Avery, so we're in Burnsville now. But up northeast of us, I think northwest of us, excuse me, the 2 inches of snow hit on that side of the mountain. We didn't get any snow here. We definitely had a frost this morning. It was I think 32 degrees when we bugged out at 06:30 in the morning. So the sun came. You wait for that sun to come over the mountain because it heats you up a little bit. But you know, we got a job to do, and we're getting it done. And we're nowhere near where we need to be with the generators and the heaters and all of that. But we're seeing it come in. It's not stopped. And these shows like yours, Colonel, are super important. And we have some other stuff coming up this weekend. And I think we're going to have some high profile folks come up here and join us. And we're going to be able to get it out even further.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Are you hearing from folks on the ground, the impacted people outside of the volunteers and everything, that they're overly worried, or are people pretty impressed and pleased with what they're seeing come their way? Because from the outside looking in, it looks like the veterans and the civilians that have come together to form these teams, in spite of the slow government response and getting spun up, is working fairly well together. Is that coordination improved?
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna say anything about the government because I don't need them following us around. So I'm gonna save that until after I leave here and you have me back on, and I'll tell you exactly how I feel about the government. But right now, my brothers and sisters in the veteran world, I'm gonna keep saying his name until somebody recognizes him in a huge way. Adam Smith out of Savage there at the Harley Davidson. This guy is amazing. He's put a bunch of special forces guys together. We're plugged in to his intel. We're doing it. We literally just drive through barricades to go where we need to go, and they don't even stop us or worry about us anymore because the cops on the ground are more than likely veterans and they get what we're trying to do. So we don't really have to worry about that so much. But we're also trained well enough to not be a hindrance in whatever operation is going while that road is closed, right? We're not just going in there and honking and telling them to move because they're fixing a road. We're trained on how we need to get to where we need to go. We do good intel to get up on the hill, but we are definitely doing it. This is not a government thing. I've seen FEMA sitting in nice churches in Asheville, drinking coffee in their jackets. That's about it. But the people on the ground, the veterans groups that are out here, the search teams, the firefighters, the police on the ground, they've all been spectacular, and everybody is working tired. I mean, very tired, but we're still crushing it and getting it done. And like today, I got to mark Black Mountain Children's Home off of my list of things that we can accomplish now. They have everything they need for the internet. Now I'm just waiting for engineers to come in and check out the slope of the mountain that fell on top of their school. And then I can hopefully get a hold of Operation Rubicon, some other CBs, and get some equipment out here and make them whole so that they can continue doing the great work they do there.
Yeah, as the 82nd Airborne, isn't there an engineering battalion level group that's out working? Are they having an impact? Have you seen any of that, or is that just something that's being reported, not backed up by facts?
No. Their engineering corps are out here. You see the dump trucks everywhere. The mobs are everywhere. When I was down at a river where I did a video where a guy jumped into the river because his brakes gave out, and we were showing the swath of this thing, how wide it was. We were able to do that, and I saw the engineers down there. They had their dozers. We've seen a lot of their loaders down in the river bottoms trying to pull the trees out of it. I can't. I've seen a heck more of the engineering brigades. I don't know that it's the 82nd. We can't tell who's who really.
Yeah.
But they're out there for sure getting it done, and but still overwhelmingly it's locals with local equipment.
Yeah, and I've seen clips in the last 24 hours of veterans working with local police officers, fire department, rescue personnel, all very smooth looking from what I can tell. And these aren't produced videos. Well, we got some hands up in the audience, Chad, for you. Margot is in the audience. She's got her hand up. Go ahead, Margot.
I just want to say thank you, Chad. And we sent our best and brightest from over here in Cherokee County. Please look for retired Navy SEAL James Ellis, Jaybird Ellis. He's up there with you, and I'd love to see him help you out. He asked me if I could, let you know he's on the ground. And I really appreciate all you've done, especially for the Black Mountain Children's Home. Those kids really needed to be stabilized, and you did a great job doing that for us, and we certainly do appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And you tell Ellis to find us because we got a place for him. And Ellis is my dude, man. I love that guy. And it'd be nice to have some Navy boys up in here because I'm getting real sick of these Army guys. They give me a lot of crap, and I'm trying to hold my own here.
Yeah, I know some guys that are up there. Sam Shoemaker's up there with the doc out of Texas. I think they're still in the area up there and they're all Army. They're pure Army. So
yeah,
what you need is
Swannanoa is all Army and Marines.
You need an Air Force guy that understands how to run billeting properly and all that stuff to get you guys taken care of.
No, Colonel, we do have an Air Force guy that is actually he's running the ops. Call sign Reaper. He's running the ops there in Avery Airfield that we've kind of made our home, right? That we're bringing all of our logistics through. But for the first time now, Avery Airfield, these two airfields, Avery, and because Boone Cutler is friends with Adam Smith and the boys down at Savage, we're now working together and we're not stepping on each other. And trust me, when you have to run up and down 2 or 3 hours up and down mountains, and you get there to take them a generator, and they've got 3 of them, it's just we've got a problem. And it's command and control, and we're establishing that command and control now.
Well, I think we'll call it the Appalachian Air Forces, and I do want to get you to link me up with Adam Smith because I'd like to have him on the show to talk about how he established his operation because I've seen him talked about in other media outlets, independent outlets, and everything a lot more the last 48 hours. So yeah, it's an impressive operation considering that 2 weeks ago nobody had an idea that this was really going to happen in the way that it did, right, Chad?
No, and there's a lot of. I gotta tell you, it's being around even the veterans. It's just like being deployed, right? We're all kind of walking around, trying to figure out how to stay awake, and we may get 3 hours here, 4 hours here. Poor JJ's down there, or Jason's down there. He lay down for 2 seconds. I came back in to tell him I was doing this hit, and he was asleep. It's kind of the way we are, but we're all keeping each other laughing. The jokes are getting dirtier, and we're having a good time, and we're keeping each other's spirit up like only the veterans can do. And we'll get you Adam, no problem.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on short notice, Chad. We appreciate it. We'll let you go. And make sure you're drinking water, get some rest when you can. So you look a little tired, my friend. So we need you to stay healthy.
I will.
All right, Chad. Well, we got to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have Brian Trasher on from the United Cajun Navy. They're still operating in the area. And I heard a great interview with him on Glenn Beck's show this morning. I wanted to ask him about one of the things he was talking about. I'm Rob Maness here at Worldview Tube. We're talking about the Helena recovery operations in the western North Carolina, East Tennessee area with lots of different folks about how they're going to vote and vote for Donald Trump. We'll be right back.
I've seen one FEMA agent since I've been here. He approached the front gate of our facility, and his request was, get this, cooperate with local government. Hey, you guys need to cooperate. And we're like, what are you talking about? We have, like, look at all the law enforcement here. Look at all the firefighters here.
Yeah.
We've had state senators come out here and land. We've had congressmen come out here and land. We've had Fox News here. We've had several other news media here to really capture what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, then you've got people like me who I'm just a guy with a phone trying to get the word out because the mainstream media is not doing their job, and so you got a donkey like me trying to do it.
We've been reported to the authorities for domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of special operation veterans. It doesn't get any more American than what we're doing.
Yeah,
we're here to help the people.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show, and we're talking Operation Helena Recovery in Western North Carolina. We've talked about the voting plan for the Trump voters, especially, but for all the American voters in that part of the state, and how that's been put together by the legislature, by the election boards, by the Republican Party, and by the Trump Vance campaign, all the way down to the local officials. Margot was in to help us come to an understanding on what's going on with that and how it is going to work and be effective. We just had Chad Caton on give us an update about the Black Mountain Children's Organization that they've been helping get their building back together, get it linked up with Starlink, heat, those kind of things. About 100 children, he said, are affected by that home being down, and they're getting it back up and running. So people helping each other. And that clip there, fantastic. That clip there, I wanted to show it because that gentleman's a U.S. Army Ranger veteran. I think he was at Savage. He never said where his location was, where Adam Smith's place was, which is a big LZ and resupply depot that's been set up by another Army veteran, Adam Smith. And talking about what the FEMA guy asked him to do, which is cooperate with local authorities, which is what they're doing. Obviously, you saw him kind of making fun of the request there. And that's the reality. And my next guest is Brian Trasher. We've got him by phone. He's from the United Cajun Navy. Brian, thanks for coming on short notice. And Mr. Producer, I am not hearing you.
Hello, you got me?
Go ahead, Brian.
Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you now. And I think we're having some technical difficulties with Brian. They'll work on him there. Let's go ahead over to the audience and take one of those hands real quick, Shel.
Miss Ashley, go ahead.
Hey guys, first time being on this show, but I was talking with some other spaces earlier today and last night. So I wanted to address the 82nd Airborne question that you had. You were asking Chad. So I have been down in Western North Carolina at the Avery Airport as a nurse, going house to house on the ground with the UTVs, and
Hey, Ashley,
do you want to go over to him or do you want to come back?
Ashley, I'm going to go over to Brian real quick. We've got him on the phone, and we'll come back to you, okay? Brian, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Colonel? I was saying, I'm sorry you couldn't hear me earlier, but I don't mind being sloppy seconds. I know it wasn't your first choice of a guest today, but here I am.
Yeah, but I heard a great interview with you and Glenn Beck this morning, and it's one of the questions that I've been trying to get answered that you were talking about there. That's this militia threatening FEMA people or the National Guard and that kind of thing. So I wanted to get you on directly since I had the chance to give you a chance to talk about it. I just retweeted your tweet, or whatever we call these things on X, about that same subject. What did you find out about this?
Well, I mean, apparently there was one overzealous guy on TikTok, I believe, that was filming federal, officials and employees, and I didn't hear his whole entire clip. He must have alluded to something. He must have said something that made him think that he might be taking action against these people he didn't want in his neighborhood or whatever. And of course, I'm not going to I'm not going to criticize the feds for taking everything seriously, especially in a situation like this when it comes to employee safety. But having said that, it turned out, like I said, it was just one guy. It's like the worst militia ever, because there was no roaming band of banjo playing Appalachians with rifles looking for FEMA employees. This is just another one of those, urban legends that just spreads like wildfire, and probably some kind of psyop to an extent to try to change the narrative on the quality of the response.
Yeah, well, that's good news. I mean, I didn't believe it. I called BS on it when I first heard about it, Brian. But I'm glad that you were able to track it down because, it's just ridiculous that we have to have this kind of activity happening. And some of it comes out of our own government, I mean, and it could be an attempt, and probably is, to be honest with you, an attempt to change the narrative on this. So before I let you go, what's going on with United Cajun Navy? I know you guys responded to Milton and then went back to North Carolina. Is that correct? And where are you operating now?
Yeah, so we have teams still on the ground in North Carolina, and we're trying to get a sit rep. And I think you talked about Adam Smith before I came on from the Asheville Harley. Is that the guy you're talking about? Yeah, that's our buddy too. And I just got off the phone with him before I talked to you to try to get a sit rep, because I'm hearing from field teams that there's still people that need some level of not necessarily search and rescue, but certain level of response out there in the mountains. And Adam's telling me that a lot of those emergency calls have died down. So really, it's just about we're trying to share intel. We still plan as an organization to push supplies, focusing on warm weather and winter supplies into the area to get the people what they need. I don't know. I contacted FEMA because I'm getting calls for gasoline, and I'm like, there should be gasoline depots set up by EOC. They're going to get back to me on some locations of that so we can share them with people. So, we're still doing what we can, but we're planning on being part of the long-term recovery, leasing a couple of warehouses and working with the VOAD there in North Carolina, and just kind of however we can be a cog in the wheel of recovery, we're going to do it until we don't see a need for ourselves anymore.
Yeah, well, stay warm. I had a report this morning of 2 inches of snow up in some areas that are in the impact area there, and they need propane and the little connectors for the buddy heaters, the adapters, and those kind of things are the biggest calls that I'm hearing.
Absolutely, and just hearing about the snow makes me want to go run back down to Puerto Rico. So I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of the snow.
Yeah, I'll be thinking about you. I'm on the beach here.
There you go. All right, Colonel.
But I'm willing to travel if you need me. So, all right.
Oh, yeah,
no,
hell
appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Well, let's go back over to our audience. And Ashley, you were saying Ashley is a nurse working out of the Avery Airport. If she's still with us, I'd love to continue that update.
Yes. So I don't remember what day it was. All my days started running together. I'm back in Iowa now. I'll plan to go back down in a couple of weeks, actually. But it was either, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday. The 82nd Airborne was actually at the Avery County Airport. We were utilizing them, and I don't know the technical term. They look like Jeeps with roll bars. Yeah. They're made for very rugged terrain. And so we utilized them to be able to put a very large amount of water and supplies. And then the guy that was actually cooking for the volunteers at the Avery County Airport, he made a whole bunch of warm and hot meals, and they took it up into Poplar. So it was pretty great. The soldiers that are on the ground, the administration is whatever, but the soldiers that are on the ground, from what I encountered, they're doing amazing work. It was funny when they returned, we offered them meals to eat, and they're like, no, we can't eat civilian, we're on duty. And Dr. Barb Stagg, who is a local doc there in Spruce Pine, she said, doctor's orders, you men are eating. So, but they were really great. The times that I have encountered, whether it be the National Guard or these 82nd Airborne guys, they have been really great.
Yeah, they're great people. With those resources, it was just a matter of them getting freed up to be able to respond.
Right. Exactly.
I was in Fayetteville with President Trump on the 5th of October and talking to soldiers from Fort Bragg and their families. They were talking about how people were on standby. They just weren't being freed up to do it yet. Having to put up with the bureaucracy is a killer. But once you get them out there, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, guardians is what they call the Space Force people, Coast Guard. They all love our citizens more than any other people in the world and jump at the opportunity to help. But glad that you had such a great experience with them. And are you?
Yeah, it was really great to great to learn about them and learn from where they were from all across the country, and hear about Fort Bragg and stuff. So yeah, all the people that there's some people that might not have good interactions with them. I think it probably depends on what mission they're doing, but they are. I mean, they're just as they're just as citizens as we are, right? I mean, they do have a job to do, but they were great.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any negative interactions with any of the volunteers with the National Guard or the U.S. Army folks that are out there. So I really don't think that's an issue. And if you hear about it, it's probably something that's come about from either a misunderstanding or just plain old disinformation operations. But thank you so much, Ashley. We appreciate it. Well, we've got to go. Tomorrow is Truth Thursday. We've got two guests tomorrow. Mark Mitchell, the head pollster of Rasmussen Reports, got some state polling, especially the one out of Pennsylvania, that is really looking good for the Trump campaign. But we still got to run. We got to run this operation like we're 10 points behind, and we're losing badly. Is the way we got to run it. So keep working hard out there. We'll update every day. We're going to update on this North Carolina operation as often as we can. We're not going to let this fall out of the news. And then our second guest tomorrow is Roger Stone. Yes, that Roger Stone. I'm looking forward to it. He's got some amazing information about this supposed assassin that's really a Trump supporter, a media man named Ben Miller, and it's BS. This whole assassin accusation is completely made up. And we're going to get to the bottom of it with our friend Roger Stone right here on Worldview Tube on the Rob Maness Show on Truth Thursday tomorrow. We'll see you then.